I need you to stop for a moment, not because I have something urgent to sell you, not because I need your attention for any reason that benefits me. I need you to stop because I recognize something in you right now, and I know what it means. I know the particular kind of quiet that surrounds a person after everything falls apart. It is not peace. It only looks like peace from the outside. On the inside, it is the sound of someone trying to figure out what just happened, trying to understand how they arrived at this place, sitting with the wreckage of something they built, or loved, or believed in, and not knowing where to begin. That is where you are right now, is it not? You do not have to answer that. I already know. I know because I have sat in that exact silence. I know the weight of it. The strange heaviness of days that keep moving forward, even when you feel completely still inside. I know what it is like to look at your life and see something that no longer resembles what you once imagined it would be. I know the moments when you scroll past other people living what looks like a normal life, and you wonder how they make it look so effortless when you are quietly carrying something that feels impossible. I am not here to tell you that everything happens for a reason. Not yet. I am not here to give you a list of steps or a strategy or a formula for getting back to where you were. I am here because someone once sat with me in the dark, and they did not try to turn the lights on immediately. They just sat with me. And somehow, that was the thing that saved me. So that is what I am doing right now. I am sitting with you. You do not need to pretend here. You do not need to frame this in a way that makes it sound more manageable than it is. You do not need to find the silver lining before you have even had a chance to feel the loss. What happened to you was real. What you lost was real, and the pain of it, the confusion of it, the way it changed the shape of everything you thought you understood about your life, that is real too. So let us start there. Let us start with the truth of where you actually are, because I have found that the only way to get through something is to stop pretending you are already on the other side of it. You are not on the other side yet, and that is okay. There is something I want to describe to you, because I think you will recognize it. In the days after a major loss, there is a kind of stillness that settles in. The first wave of shock eventually passes. The people who came to check on you slowly return to their own lives. The phone gets quieter, the noise fades, and you are left alone with what remains. Some people describe this as emptiness, but I do not think that is quite right. It is not empty, it is full. Full of questions that do not have answers yet, full of memories that arrive without warning, full of a grief that has not yet found its shape. And in the middle of all of that, there is a voice. It is quiet, but it is persistent. And it says things that are very hard to unhear. It says that maybe you should have seen this coming. It says that other people would have handled this better. It says that the life you had before is gone now, and the one ahead of you will always carry the shadow of this. It says that you are behind now, that something has been taken from you that cannot be recovered. I want you to hear me very clearly when I say this. That voice is not telling you the truth. I know it sounds like the truth. I know it speaks in your own voice, using your own memories, pointing to real things that happened. That is what makes it so convincing. But the story it is telling you about what those things mean is not accurate. And I know this not because I read it somewhere, but because I believed that voice for a long time. I let it narrate my life for years after I lost something I thought I could not survive losing. And every day I listened to it, I moved further from the person I was actually becoming. Let me tell you about the moment I understood something important. There was a season in my life when everything I had built came apart at once. Not gradually, not in a way that gave me time to prepare or adjust all at once. The way a structure gives out when its foundation can no longer hold. I remember standing in the middle of what was left and feeling something I did not expect to feel. Not just grief, not just fear, but a strange, terrible clarity, like the noise that had been filling my life for years, had suddenly gone completely silent. And in that silence, for the first time in a very long time, I could hear myself think. Not the version of myself that was performing, or managing, or trying to hold everything together. The actual self underneath all of that, the one that had been buried beneath years of building towards something that, it turned out, was not meant to last. I did not understand it then. It took me a long time to understand it, but looking back now, I can see something clearly that I could not see from inside the pain. The collapse was not the end of my story. It was the end of a chapter that needed to end. There is a difference, and that difference is everything. If you have ever quietly whispered the words "I am not enough" into the silence of your own life, I want you to type those words below. Type, "I am still here," because you are. And the fact that you are still here, still listening, still searching for something to hold on to, is not a small thing. It is the most important thing. Let me share something with you now that I wish someone had shared with me sooner. There is a particular kind of pain that comes not just from losing something, but from the meaning we attach to the loss. The loss itself is one wound, but the interpretation of the loss is often a deeper one. When something falls apart, the mind immediately goes to work trying to explain it, and the explanation it reaches for first is almost always the harshest one available. It says the loss happened because of a flaw in you, because you were not careful enough, not strong enough, not wise enough, not worthy enough. It turns the event into evidence. Evidence of something it has always quietly suspected about you. And once you accept that framing, every memory from before the loss gets reinterpreted through that lens. Every decision you made starts to look like a mistake. Every moment of joy starts to look like naivety. Every time you trusted someone, every time you tried, every time you believed something was possible, your mind reframes it as proof that you were foolish to believe. But the wound does not stop there. There is a layer beneath the self-blame that is harder to talk about. It is the layer of shame, not just the feeling that you did something wrong, but the feeling that you are something wrong, that the collapse of this thing, this relationship, this plan, this version of your life reveals something fundamental about who you are. Something that perhaps you always feared was true, and now you have proof. This is the part that lives underneath the surface of the conversations you have with people who ask how you are doing. When you say fine, or getting there, or taking it one day at a time, this is the part you are not saying out loud, because this is the part that feels too dangerous to say, too raw, too revealing, too close to something you do not yet know how to hold. And beneath the shame, there is something even quieter, a question that has no easy answer. It asks, if this could fall apart, if this thing I worked for and believed in and gave myself to could come to this, then what can I trust? What is safe to build toward? What is the point of trying again? This question is not weakness. It is wisdom trying to protect you. It is your heart asking for a better map before it agrees to travel again. And it deserves an honest answer, not a quick one. An honest one. This is not grief. This is something else. This is a story being written about you without your consent, and the only way to stop it is to recognize it for what it is, not the truth, not a verdict, not a reflection of your worth, just a story, one that your pain is telling. Because pain needs to make sense of itself. And the story it tells, in the immediate aftermath of loss, is almost never the accurate one. Here is the truth I have come to understand through my own rebuilding. The things that collapse in our lives are rarely destroyed by accident. Most of the time, they collapse because they were never built to hold the weight we placed on them. Not because we were foolish, not because we were wrong to build, but because we were building at the level of understanding we had at the time. And loss, as brutal as it is, has a way of revealing what was always beneath the surface. It shows us what was real and what was constructed, what was lasting and what was temporary, what was ours to keep and what we were always only borrowing. I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine a house that has stood through many ordinary seasons. It has weathered rain and cold and the slow passage of years. From the outside, it looks solid. It looks like it will stand forever. But underneath, in the places no one can see, something has been shifting. The foundation has been slowly giving way. And then one season a storm arrives that is stronger than the ones that came before, and the house does not hold. The walls come down, the roof gives out. What was standing is now on the ground. And a person looking at the wreckage might see only destruction. They might say, "Look at what has been lost. Look at what can never be recovered." But a builder, someone who understands how things are made, sees something different. They see the land beneath the ruin. They see the space where something new can now be built, something that was not possible before because the old structure was occupying the ground. They see that the storm did not destroy the possibility of a home. It only destroyed the version that was not built to last. That is what is happening in your life right now. I know it does not feel like that. I know it feels like pure loss. But I have walked through enough of my own wreckage to know that what looks like an ending from inside the storm looks different from the other side of it. You are not standing on empty ground. You are standing on cleared ground. And those are not the same thing. Let me tell you about the 3 stages I moved through in the aftermath of my own collapse, because I think they will be familiar to you. The first stage I call sitting in the ruin. This is the stage most people want to skip or rush through, because it is uncomfortable in a way that feels like it might be permanent. It is the stage where you stop running from the reality of what happened, and you actually sit with it. You stop managing how it looks to other people. You stop performing resilience before you have actually found any. You just sit in the mess, in the silence, in the not knowing. And I want to be honest with you about what that is actually like. It is not peaceful. It is not cathartic in the way it sometimes looks in stories. It is awkward and slow and filled with moments where you think you are getting somewhere. And then the grief rises again, and you realize you are not further along than you thought. Some mornings you wake up and for a single moment, just before full consciousness arrives, you forget. And then you remember. And the remembering is its own small loss every time. I am telling you this because I do not want you to measure your progress by how quickly that stops happening. It stops when it stops. And the trying to make it stop sooner only extends it. Something strange happens when you stop fighting the pain. The pain stops fighting you quite so hard. It does not disappear, but it shifts. It moves from something chasing you to something sitting beside you. And when it is beside you, you can finally look at it directly. And when you can look at it directly, you can begin to understand it. Not what caused it, not yet, but what it is made of, what it is trying to tell you. Because grief, real grief, is not just sadness. Underneath the sadness, there is almost always love. Grief is what love looks like when the thing it was attached to is gone. And if you are grieving something deeply, it means you loved something deeply. That is not a sign of weakness. That is a sign of a heart that was fully alive. The second stage I moved through, I call finding what remained. When the immediate shock began to settle, I started to notice something I had not expected to find. There were things still standing in the rubble. Not the things I had been building toward, not the plans or the structures I had worked so hard to construct, but something else, something quieter, a clarity about what I actually valued, a sharpness about who I actually was, underneath all the layers of who I had been performing myself to be. A kind of honesty with myself that had not been possible while I was busy maintaining everything. I want to be specific about this because I think it is important. Before the collapse, I was spending enormous amounts of energy on things I had convinced myself were necessary. Maintaining a version of my life that looked right from the outside. Managing how I was perceived. Keeping pace with expectations, some of which were not even mine to begin with. I was so busy building and maintaining and managing that I had almost no idea what I actually wanted anymore. The collapse took all of that away, and in its absence, something surprising appeared: space. Not the good kind of space at first. It was uncomfortable space, unfamiliar space, but eventually, slowly, it became something I had not had in years. Room to think, room to ask questions I had been too busy to ask, room to notice what I actually cared about when no one was watching and nothing was required of me. I found that I had capabilities I had never tested before because I had never been pushed to test them. I found reserves of endurance I did not know I had. I found a version of myself that the comfortable years had kept hidden. Not better, exactly. Not stronger in the way strength is usually described, but more real, more honest, more aligned with something deep and essential that had always been there, waiting for the noise to clear. And the third stage, the one I am still living, I call building from what I know now. This stage is not about returning to where you were. It is not about recovery in the sense of getting back what was lost. It is about building forward from a truer foundation, with a clearer understanding of what matters and what does not. with a depth that the previous version of your life could not have given you. What I built after the collapse is not what I would have built before. It is better, not because the collapse was good, but because it was honest. It revealed things that needed to be revealed. It cleared space that needed to be cleared. It ended things that needed to end, even though the ending was devastating. If something in you is saying, "I am ready. I do not know how yet, but I am ready," type below, "rebuild me." Because that desire, that small, quiet, stubborn desire to begin again, is not random. It does not come from nowhere. It comes from something in you that the loss could not touch. Something that survived the storm, something that is already reaching toward what comes next. I want to speak now about something that is rarely said in these kinds of conversations. When you lose something significant, there will be people in your life who want to help you move forward, and they will mean well genuinely. But some of what they offer will not actually help. Some of them will tell you to look on the bright side before you have had permission to look at the dark one. Some of them will tell you to be grateful for what remains before you have had the chance to mourn what is gone. Some of them will compare your situation to others who have it worse, as though pain has a hierarchy, as though your hurt only counts if it ranks high enough. And some of them, with the very best of intentions, will make you feel like the length of your healing is a reflection of your strength, as though grieving too long means you are doing it wrong. I want to say something clearly. There is no timeline for this. The world may have one, the people around you may have one, but the process of genuinely rebuilding a life after real loss does not fit neatly into anyone else's expectations. And trying to rush it to make other people more comfortable will only drive the unfinished grief underground, where it will not disappear. It will just become invisible. And invisible grief has a way of shaping everything without you realizing it. It leaks into how you make decisions, into how much you are willing to trust, into how far you are willing to reach for something new. So please, do not rush this to satisfy someone else's comfort with your process. This is yours. Take the time it takes. What I am asking you to do is not to move faster. I am asking you to move honestly. There is a difference. Honest movement through grief means feeling what is there to be felt, without letting those feelings become permanent narratives. It means letting the sadness be sadness without letting it become a verdict. It means letting the anger be anger without letting it become an identity. It means letting the fear be present without letting it make every decision for you. I want to spend a moment on the anger because it is the one that people talk about the least. Anger after a significant loss is not a sign that you are doing this wrong. It is not a spiritual problem. It is not a character flaw. It is a completely natural response to the experience of having something taken from you, or having something fall apart despite everything you gave to hold it together. The anger says, "This mattered to me." The anger says, "I deserved better than this outcome." And sometimes the anger is right. The question is not whether to feel it. The question is what you do with it, because anger that is turned inward becomes depression. Anger that is turned outward becomes bitterness. But anger that is acknowledged, held honestly, and eventually released becomes fuel. It becomes the energy that moves you from sitting in the ruin to standing up in it, from standing up to taking the first step out of it. So if you are angry right now, let it be there. Do not perform acceptance before you have actually arrived at it, but also do not let it take up permanent residence. Give it space, hear what it is saying, and then, when you are ready, let it begin to move through you instead of sitting in you. Honest movement says, "I am in pain, and I am also still capable of taking one step. Not 10 steps. Not a leap. Just one. And then tomorrow, one more." That is how rebuilding actually works. Not in grand gestures. Not in sudden transformations. In the accumulation of small, honest steps taken in the right direction. Let me say something to you now that I want you to hold on to. You are not starting over. I know it feels that way. I know the loss has made everything look like it needs to be rebuilt from zero. But you are not the same person you were before this happened. You know things now that you did not know then. You have moved through something that you did not know you could survive, and you have survived it. That is not nothing. That is a foundation. Not the foundation you planned to build on, not the one you wanted, but a real one, solid in a way that plans and intentions never quite are. The person beginning to rebuild now is not the same person who built what fell. They are more honest about what they can carry, more discerning about where they place their trust, more clear about what they value and what they are willing to sacrifice for it. More aware of the difference between things that are urgent and things that are actually important. These are not small things. These are the things that will shape everything you build going forward. And they were not available to you before this. They could only have come through this. I want to come back to something I said at the beginning. I told you that someone once sat with me in the dark, and they did not try to immediately fix it or explain it or move me past it. They just stayed. And in staying, they communicated something that all the advice and encouragement in the world had not managed to say. They communicated that the dark was survivable, that sitting in it was not the same as being destroyed by it, that the fact that I was still there, still present, still breathing, still able to feel what I was feeling, meant that something in me was still intact, still working, still reaching towards something, even if I could not name what it was. You are still here, still reaching. And I do not think you ended up here by accident. I think something in you was looking for exactly this. Permission to be in the process. Confirmation that where you are is not a sign of failure, that it is a sign of something harder, and more important and more real than the easy seasons ever required of you. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not behind. You are not less than the people whose foundations have not been tested yet. You are in the middle of something, and the middle is always the hardest place to be, because you cannot see either end from there. You can only see where you are standing. But I am telling you, from the other side of my own middle, that the other end exists, that it is reachable, that the version of you being shaped through this process is someone the comfortable seasons could never have built. Comfort builds preference. Difficulty builds character. Comfort tells you what you enjoy. Loss tells you who you actually are. And who you actually are, tested and honest, and still standing after everything that tried to take you down. That is someone worth knowing, that is someone worth becoming. What you are being built into through this process is something the comfortable version of your life could never have produced. The ground you are standing on right now, as broken as it feels, is going to become the foundation of something truer than what came before. Not because loss is good, not because pain is something to be celebrated, but because you are not going to let it be the last word. Because you are still here. Because you are still listening. Because that small, stubborn thing inside you that has not given up yet. That thing is not an accident. It is the most important thing about you, and it is the thing that is going to carry you through. There is a kind of tree that grows in forests that have been through fire. Not in spite of the fire, because of it. The heat of the blaze cracks open seeds that would never have germinated in normal conditions. Seeds that require extreme heat to release what is inside them. Seeds that were always there, waiting for exactly the conditions that everything else was trying to avoid. And after the fire, when the ground is dark and bare and looks like nothing could ever grow there again, these trees are the first things to emerge. Reaching up through the ash, rooted in soil that the fire made richer, growing in a space that was only cleared because everything else burned. That is the image I want to leave with you. Not of the fire, not of the ash, but of what comes after. Of the thing in you that required exactly this kind of season to finally break open. You do not have to be ready to see it yet. You do not have to feel hopeful today. You do not have to have it figured out. You just have to stay. One more day, one more step, one more quiet decision to keep moving toward whatever is ahead. Because what is ahead, I promise you, is not just a return to what was. It is something new, something built from everything you have learned, everything you have survived, everything that the easy seasons could never have given you. You are not starting over. You are starting from here, and here, as hard as it is exactly where you need to be. If there is someone in your life right now who is sitting in the dark, who is trying to find their footing in the aftermath of something that shook them, share this with them. Not because you have all the answers for them, but because sometimes the most important thing is simply to say, I see you, and I stayed. And if you want to keep walking this road, if you want to be here for the next part of the conversation, subscribe and stay close, because there is more to say about what comes after the falling apart. And I do not want you to miss it.